Background! Background!
Today is Eric O'Neill's first day working with Hansen at FBI headquarters. This was another one of those locations that we absolutely had to have. Can I have a little more space?
Reset going again.
A little more space between Brian and the woman who came up directly preceding him on the escalator. He was a little bit on her back. So as long as we're going again, let's expand that. You can't double the FBI building. It's so unique in terms of its architecture. It goes up to 7 floors on one side, 11 floors on the other, sort of built to get people lost by design. And Eric did get lost his first day here.
Good morning, guys. How are you? Beautiful day out here in the rain in Washington, D.C. Soon this will turn to snow, so you're going to get to see that transition happen today. We're all looking forward to it.
The Hansen case finished some years ago, and I stayed in the FBI for a number of months thereafter. When I decided to leave the FBI, that I was sitting with my brother, and he mentioned that it would make a great story. I gained permission from the FBI to pitch a book deal that fell through, which became an oral pitch to just about everybody we could get in front of in Hollywood.
There was a producer named Bobby Newmeyer, rest in peace, and he was developing a story about the Robert Hansen arrest as told through Eric O'Neill. They had a script that existed, and they asked me to come in and rewrite to direct. There was a lot about this story that I liked.
Rather than trying to write a thriller from the outside in, he wanted to do it from the inside out.
Doing the research, meeting the people involved, taking notes like a reporter would take notes. As a filmmaker, I think it's incumbent upon you at that point to tell the real story.
We got the studio really excited about doing the picture, and then we went ahead and started casting.
There were a couple huge movie stars that I thought would be interesting Robert Hansens. And as we were going through the process, I got this call saying, Chris has read the script and is interested. I said, okay, I'm done looking.
It was a very, very good script, told very well, and good material is hard to find, and this just pretty much jumped out at me.
You get 3 seconds to fire 5 shots. What are you doing?
Ryan came about in much the same way, and as we were thinking about who could play Eric, I went out and saw Crash. I called all my producers the very next day and I said, you gotta see this movie, and we gotta talk to Ryan.
The script was so well written. It's a true story, which is always fascinating to me.
Measuring himself against people that he considers to be sort of, initiated into the club. You want to put people in front of the camera that are so good that you can't do much to screw it up. And Chris gives you that kind of insurance. So does Ryan. Once we had cast Ryan, we screen tested 4 actresses opposite him, and they were all great. But there was something about Carolyn that just kind of popped.
Everybody told me when you marry the Bureau, things get weird, the cases. And they never told me about this.
It's well written, first of all. The dialogue is great. And that you can always pick up on from the audition, because if you can learn it easily, if it feels natural when you're saying your lines, I always think it's a good sign.
I'm sorry. You're having problems at home. I'd offer you some advice, but it wouldn't be worth much. I don't even have a cat.
Laura Linney came into the game really late. We spent a long time trying to figure out who could play the role of Kate. We knew we needed a great actress, but we also knew that she wasn't the lead of the film. And of course, you can't do better than Laura.
I loved the script because it was exciting to read, and the characters were interesting, and there was a great sense of tension throughout the whole thing. What's the trouble?
I want to see what you got on this guy.
Come again.
His internet postings, the emails, your case.
Why?
Because I don't think you have one. I like the Kate-Eric dynamic. Everyone in the script is lying to each other. The only person who doesn't lie at really any given point is Eric to Kate.
In this case, the character is based on an actual person, and she is in charge of shepherding Eric O'Neill through this process. Eric O'Neill, Dean Plezak, Assistant Special Agent in charge.
The director wants him caught in the act of making a drop.
That would give you the death penalty.
Don't you think he's earned it?
I never dreamed we would get Dennis. We were so thrilled to find out that he liked the script.
Billy is great. I love his passion. I love the fact that he saw this character and thought of me. That speaks well of him. Sew it up.
Sir?
We're boarding. Sew it up. As the size of the role goes, it is not a large role, but that has never deterred me in the past. And I think they'll remember Dean Plezak because he is such a loyalist. He's such a patriot. And I think that Robert Hansen personally hurts him.
Maybe now you'll listen.
It's a sad day for all of us, Bob.
You have to take certain licenses so that you can tell a story well enough that people will actually come and watch. But I don't think you can make up things about Robert Hansen. I don't think that would be right.
This is a film that's about true incident history. And whenever you're dealing with something that is part of history, you need to take every step to make sure that you're accurate.
We'll start on the helicopter, okay? Hand down, get our guys. It's 30 seconds of silence before they discover Hansen.
I was very fortunate in the choice of Billy Ray because he kept me involved in all aspects of the process. He leaned on me heavily to give him what I believe is a very accurate portrayal from an FBI standpoint.
If you can have a resource like Eric O'Neill, you're crazy not to use him.
It's so much work for that tiny little scene.
And one of the greatest things about playing a real person is that the work is sort of done for me. I would call him with the smallest detail and he would have an answer immediately. I was fascinated by the world of the FBI, but knew very little about it, and so he taught me quite a bit.
Eric was a great resource for Ryan, who of course is playing Eric, but he was equally a great resource for Chris because he had such insight into what Robert Hansen was actually like.
Ryan and I were able to really ask a lot of questions, and it was actually quite helpful.
We worked on the accent.
Oh, really?
Hansen has a weird, it's sort of Chicago, but it's been DC, softened. Being on the set really has made this a real experience for me, and seeing Ryan and Caroline acting as myself and Juliana and Ryan and Chris Cooper in that office. That's the exact clone of the office that I was in. Really brings back memories.
Juliana was just telling us what it was like to grow up in the communist bloc.
Oh, yeah?
It piques my curiosity, as you can imagine.
I actually got to call up Juliana before shooting and ask her a few questions. And it's always weird because you don't know a person, and all of a sudden you have the right to ask every personal question in their life.
She was a little bit in awe by the fact that here's a real-life person her age, and she gets to play me. But I think I was a little bit more in awe that there's an actual real-life actress playing me and being interested in that period of my life.
We got the same clothes, the same posture, everything was the same. I have the same wedding ring. This is Juliana's wedding ring that she had. It's very funny.
In this film, we're dealing with real characters. Robert Hansen is a real man. Eric O'Neill is a real man. The situations are all based on reality. So it was very important for me as a designer to go back to the real places where all the events took place.
And where's Ryan going to be?
Ryan's going to be walking towards that direction and then standing here in this corner, and then we'll get a point of view back there.
If you see the set where Chris and Ryan work, that's dead on what Robert Hansen's office looked like.
We went on a really extensive tour of the FBI building and the Washington field office. Those two buildings were essential for me in terms of designing the film, since so much of the film takes place in those two worlds.
The scene we're shooting today is on the Potomac Parkway. As you can see, that's the Lincoln Memorial behind me. And in this scene, Eric O'Neill, played by Ryan Phillippe, is in a car with Chris Cooper, and he's been mandated by the FBI to delay Chris Cooper by at least several hours.
It's just traffic.
When you walk the grounds of where this man walked, yeah, it makes a huge impression.
FBI, don't move!
The FBI were extremely helpful as far as research was concerned. This movie really does shed light on one very small sliver of the enormity of this situation.
The FBI is not an institution. The FBI is a group of human beings that are custodians of an institution. These are people that sacrifice for their country on a daily basis.
Is it worth it, being an agent?
The FBI, like many organizations in the U.S. government, often gets criticism because they can't do everything all the time. And in this case, they knew they had a problem. They could not solve it, but once they identified where the problem was, they moved quickly and swiftly to arrest this guy.
Don't move! Don't move! The guns won't be necessary. Guns won't be necessary.
Robert Hansen said and did and believed things that were actually really interesting and almost clairvoyant, and at the same time was perpetrating this horrible evil, not just on America, but on the people close to him.
We're a very a very young country, and I think we have really short memories. And I think we need to be constantly re-educated and reminded of our history.
The arrest of Robert Hanssen for espionage should remind us all that our free society is an international target in a dangerous world.